But the turbo, come on, quick.
Well, that was a
on,
kit.
This is
So that was
crazy.
from the 60s.
A 60s turbo. Let's have a look.
Well,
Who's
actually,
made by?
It was a Rotomaster turbo, but it was a kit that they made for the Series 2s and Series 3s.
All right.
So there's a company in England that made the custom manifolds and turbo setups, and you could buy them for your Land Rovers.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
and no one's really ever seen them in the wild except
No.
this one. And it's complete, and I've had the turbo rebuilt, and it's great. It's like having an extra gear.
Yeah.
You know, you put your foot down, it just pulls.
Well, welcome to a new Dave's Classic Garage Tours video. And today I'm in somebody's backyard. A bit different than usual, but maybe it's a new thread or playlist of videos to do. Anyway, we're going to meet Torben, as you can see. A couple of different motors there. So without further ado, let's go and say hello. Hello Torben, well.
Hello.
Thanks for letting us pop along.
No, well, thanks for
And
being here.
you've got a fascinating array of cars to your name. Eclectic, I'd say. Yeah. So Corollas to Land Rovers, and quite a few in between.
Yeah, so you got to have, you know, a few Japanese cars for when you actually want to get places on time.
Yeah,
and without breaking down.
Right.
But then for fun, you can have British cars.
Absolutely.
Have driveways where it doesn't matter if they get a bit oily.
Yeah. Now this is a long time in your ownership, and it certainly wasn't this way when.
No, I got this as a birthday present. I think I was 16 when I got this.
Right.
And it was almost like a pile of compost. You know, firewall was rusted out and chassis was barely there. But had good panels and good interior, and like, the engine was all right. Like it was a good starting point.
Right.
And the gearbox was great. That had just been done.
Yeah.
So I chased down another chassis and another firewall for it,
Right.
and decided, as I was getting it blasted, hell, I'll galvanise it all.
Right.
'Cause
Right.
why not?
Okay.
And I thought, I might paint it.
So there's not many Series 1. Well, presumably people are galvanising.
They're doing it now.
Yeah.
Because, you know, assault on the roads in Britain and stuff.
Yeah,
It makes good sense. But no, when I got it back from the galvanizer, I thought, that looks great. So I didn't bother painting it. I sort of made a stylistic choice to just have gal, and anything that wasn't metal was painted green, you know, all the
Right.
aluminium.
Yeah.
So it's just gal and aluminium it's painted.
It looks great. So we're talking a good 20 years in your ownership, are we?
Yeah, 20 years.
Yeah.
And I only really got into fixing up when I was probably 18, sort of 17, 18.
Right. Okay.
And then I sort of put in an effort and finished it.
Yeah.
And it didn't take long. They're surprisingly quick to do up.
Right.
'Cause-
So tell us about that process.
Well, I actually sandblasted the chassis myself out in the front yard.
Right.
And
We'll get to know that Torben is quite handy.
well, sort of. Yeah, I make my way through. I work it out as I go.
Well, I'd beg to differ, but there we go. We'll come to that. We'll see the proof of that in the pudding later on. But anyway, yeah, carry on.
So yeah, then I paint stripped down all the panels, and a lot of them were a bit dented. And I worked out you could anneal the panels with a blowtorch, and aluminium goes quite soft.
Yeah.
And then you can sort of press it flat. You don't want to beat it because it stretches, but you can press them back into good shape.
In pressing using.
Like blocks of wood and
Right.
you know, mallets, just to knock
Yeah.
it back into shape, but without stretching it too much.
Yeah. Wonderful.
And then you can get it pretty damn good. And then of course, you know, the purists don't like it, but you give it a very small skim coat of filler just so that the light doesn't ripple off any imperfections.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, look, I painted this myself as a 19-year-old, so it's not the best paint job.
This is.
But
Crikey, this is.
It's 19-year-old me paint job.
Wow, it's not a bad job, eh?
But that's out of the gun, so I never even bothered hitting it with cut and polish.
Right.
That's just how it came out of the gun.
You've done it, bloody yeah.
And you can see it's cracking a bit where it's been in the sun for 20 years.
Well, it is an Australian sun beating down. on
It's
it, isn't
brutal here.
it?
You know, nothing survives the sun too much.
Yeah.
But it's slowly getting a patina.
Yes.
And
yeah.
I
Well,
kind of
what
like
do you
that.
want?
Yeah, I don't want it looking shiny.
Yeah.
That's why I never polished it.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So this is something I couldn't quite believe when I first came across this car. Tell us about what we've got underneath.
Well, this is why I wanted this car for my birthday. Is it had been up the road and I'd opened the bonnet and had a sneaky look, and I saw this turbo hanging off it.
A turbo.
Actually a massive old turbo. It's an old school turbo, so it looks bigger
So
than it
tell us
is.
what year this car is.
Well, this I think is a 53 if you go by the chassis numbers.
Okay.
but it's got a 2.25 series sort of 2.3 motor in it,
Right. Okay. Okay.
which is a good conversion.
Now 53. That's bloody. So they came out. Or was it 48?
48 was the first.
So this is Series 1.
Well, Series Dot, I think they call them.
Right.
And look, it's not a real early one because the real early ones have the grille over the lights. But
Right.
it's probably one of the more common 80-inch ones.
Right. Okay.
But the 2-litre had been taken out, and Lee, who previously owned it, had put a 2.25 in, which is, purists won't like it, but it's very drivable.
Yeah.
And parts are easy to get.
Yeah.
Pretty economical too, this one.
Yeah. But the turbo, come on, quick.
Well, that was
come
a
on,
kit.
This is
So
crazy.
that was from the 60s.
A 60s turbo. Let's have a look.
Well,
Who's
actually,
made by?
it was a Rotomaster Turbo, but it was a kit that they made for the Series 2s and Series 3s.
All right.
So it was a company in England that made the custom manifolds and turbo setups, and you could buy them for your Land Rovers.
Awesome.
So-
Awesome.
And no one's really ever seen them in the wild except
No.
this one. And it's complete, and I've had the turbo rebuilt, and it's great. It's like having an extra gear.
Yeah.
You put your foot down, it just pulls. And it's a hell of a lot of fun to drive, The Land Rover with the turbo spool sound, it's good fun.
Yes, I can imagine that freaks a few people out if you're at a Land Rover event,
Well-
and you can hear that coming along the street.
Well, yeah, and also, like, it has the big old 750 tyres on it.
Right. Okay.
And if you have a look in the cabin,
Okay.
you'll see
Oh.
it has an overdrive as well.
Yes.
So it'll sit on 100, 110 Ks quite happily.
Really?
Yeah. And of course, you've got your turbo oil temperature and boost pressure gauges
Yeah.
and a wide band, just so you know what your mixtures are doing. You don't want to lean it out.
Right. Right.
But other than that, it's...
And the wipers, obviously, they must be from later, are they?
No,
or
no, they're the early wipers.
Electronic.
Yeah, yeah. No, they were the early Series Dot wipers.
Oh, am I not thinking? What am I thinking?
Oh, no, that was probably the indicator system. I think they used to have indicators that I think bolted on here.
Oh, crikey, what car am I thinking of? It was literally a manual.
I've got an old 1919 Hupmobile with those.
Right.
They don't do much.
No.
It's an open top, so...
Hang on. What? Well, we'll come to that in the back. I've never seen that before. But
that was-
wait, one second. So take us through. Any what's different? What else? Yeah, obviously the turbo gauges.
Well, I've just
My
got...
God, you got some serious. Come on. Yeah,
It's got enough gauges, so you've got oil pressure for the engine, oil pressure feed to the turbo, just so you know if you've got a line rupture.
Yeah.
Temperature for the turbo as well, just so you know nothing's getting really hot. Wideband sensor, just the basics to sort of know what's happening at any given time.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're cruising on the freeway, if things go wrong, you can see it if something's been a bit hot. It's like, oh, why is that? You pull
Right.
over and you have a look, and you're pissing oil out or something, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's why I was getting low on oil.
And these seats, these.
Look, these were in it when I got it,
Oh, really?
so they're a bit rough, but they're good enough.
Crikey, well, they don't look. They look newly delivered from Exmoor or whoever they are. Back in, is it
I don't
Exmoor?
even know if Exmoor were around when they were.
No, well, I doubt it.
They're
If they were 20 odd years old, no.
But she's a hoot to drive.
Yeah. I bet.
And
So tell us, yeah. So all this galvanite, you've actually made up some of this stuff, haven't you?
no, that's
this is
all-
original.
That's original.
Oh right.
But as I'll show you later, I've got all the tools to rivet this. So I take it all off, get it regalvanized, and then I can redo all the hard rivets myself.
Right.
So
Okay.
I've had this completely apart and regalvanized.
Yeah.
And same with that, like the rear cross member,
Yeah.
I took that off another chassis
Yeah.
yet again and actually panel beat it out and got it really square before galvanizing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Because I want it to look nice. The back,
It does. It does.
you want it nice and flat.
But you get pulled up by the purist, do you?
Oh, the purists hate me. But the thing was, this was my everyday car for probably 3 years.
Yeah.
I used to have an old Subaru and it just kept doing what I thought were head gaskets.
Right.
Turned out it had a crack down the bore.
Right.
So every
Okay.
time the Subaru was off the road, I would drive this, and in the end I just drove this into the docklands every day for like 2 or 3 years.
Right. Right.
And
Oh,
It's-
wonderful.
it's a total-
More of a common sight now to see when see the old Landies doing that every day thing, isn't it? Now?
People don't, yeah, but they still don't use them every day.
Right.
And this also, like I tow trailers for garden supplies,
Uh-huh.
and I've got roof racks on so I can get timber and stuff with it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I try and use it.
And so it should be used.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
People baby them, but they don't need it.
No, absolutely wonderful. Right, and then let's just pull back here. A purpose-built shed to keep it in as well.
Well, it's just because
This and the
the Honda Beat.
This and the Honda Beat.
Because they're so short, when I was putting the garage up, I thought, well, if I turn it the other way, I can park two end in.
Yeah.
And it works really well, because look at that, it's tiny.
Yes.
Like she's, what do you reckon that is? 3.2 meters or something?
All right. Yeah, possibly. Your winch.
Yeah, well,
This is a
this was given to me when I bought the car. This was in a box in parts.
Right.
I thought, Jesus, that's bloody good. But it, rusty, looked like it'd been at the bottom of the ocean. But luckily the worm gear and the shafts and everything had been wrapped in cloth with oil.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay.
So everything was perfect. It just needed a few new seals, a few new bearings, and putting back together.
And you're saying the purists wouldn't like that particular?
They'll love the winch, but they won't love that I'm running grease in my swivel pin housings.
Right.
Because this one's been retrofitted with needle race bearings top and bottom. Instead of like the Railco Bush, it's needle race top and bottom.
Yeah.
And because I'm running freewheeling hubs, I thought I'll just pack the swivel pin housings with grease because nothing needs lubrication.
Right.
The needle races, like, I lubricated them when I rebuilt it, and they still had fresh grease in them.
Wow.
So I've packed them to the brim with grease.
Yeah.
The idea being that if you go through water or river crossing, there's so much grease, water can't get in. Physically, it's not going to get in.
Yeah, yeah. And you say the hub's much the same, yeah?
Well, people are iffy about freewheeling hubs, but I like them because, like, when you do fill your swivel pin housings with grease, you don't get any parasitic drag. Like when I drove it with the floor off, the tail shaft didn't move.
Yeah.
So they don't spin up when you
Right.
pack them with grease and have freewheeling hubs.
Right, right.
And
And
you
what
can-
would be the, what would they be calling you out on that?
Oh, well, a lot of people think that the oil in the swivel pin housings, it splashes around and it lubricates the railcos. And,
Right.
and like that's true if you're running railcos.
Yeah.
You probably want a bit of lubrication there.
Right.
But with the freewheeling hubs, it doesn't really spin anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you run oil, you get a bit of parasitic spin and it will turn over a bit. But with grease, you don't get that. So
Okay.
it's just a way of having absolutely no maintenance on the front,
Right.
or very
Right.
little.
And that's...
Because I'm lazy, I don't want to.
Right. Well, tell us, yeah, because you do actually work at Series Magic.
Yeah.
Any of your sort of what you found, creep through into the work that you...
Well, the purists don't like certain things, so I don't go there.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's only if
You've got to
someone
keep-
asks for it, or
Yeah.
like, oh, look, it's leaking and I don't want to have to put new seals on. Well, you could do this.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not puritanical, but it'll get you out of trouble.
But the people that are buying now, are they purists? Well, that's the old guard, isn't it? So people now just want the ease of...
They want the look, really.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the trouble is that, like I bought this because it had no pretense when I bought it.
Yeah.
It was like a farm vehicle. It was agricultural. And, like I think my dad paid $600 or something for it.
Wow. Yeah.
So they weren't a classy thing. And I thought, oh, no one will ever think that this is a prestige vehicle.
Yes,
It's,
yes.
it's a tractor.
Yes. Yeah.
So for me, it was purely utilitarian.
Sure. Okay.
And there wasn't a big community around it. Like there were some old guys who loved them, but that's because they worked with them.
Yeah.
They'd been up at, doing survey or running cattle stations with
Right.
them.
Your dad, you've got a history of them in the family, or
Yeah.
your dad's station
Well-
wagon. You still got, I believe.
Well, he still got that, but he started as a surveyor up in Alice Springs. So he put in the Northern Territory border.
Right. Right. Wow.
And they went out on, what do you call it, like survey, putting in all the border posts, and they had Land Cruisers and Land Rovers.
Right.
And he thought, these are bloody good. And he'd had a Series 1 Land Rover, so he just kept them going.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You fell in love with them because they always get you home.
Wow, that's a bone of contention for quite a few Land Cruiser. They always get you home for the Land Cruiser crowd.
Well, I've got some pictures of my dad on survey, and there's a Land Cruiser bogged in, 4 foot of mud up to the bloody doors. and it had broken a timing gear because they had a fibre timing gear on the front of the motor.
Yeah, yeah.
So the old Land Rover 6-cylinder actually drove back to Alice Springs and got a new timing gear and a puller for the Land Cruiser.
All right.
So
Right.
the Land Cruiser guys wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
but both were great cars.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
The problem is that the Land
We like
Cruisers...
to wind, each owner crowd likes to wind up the other.
Well, I like them both.
Yeah.
The trouble is the Land Cruisers, you know, they all got rusty.
Right.
And the Land Rover, because they're aluminium, they're still here.
Yeah, sure.
But otherwise, I'd have a Land Cruiser too.
Yeah. Okay, right. Well, there's something smiling at us over in the rear. Let's go and see that.
Oh, that, yeah.
So, a certain Mr. Camisa, journalist in California, in San Francisco, has one of these. He's been experiencing a couple of issues. One's he's mentioned on his podcast. I can't quite remember. But yeah, tell us all about the Beat.
Well, this was a 3 a.m. eBay purchase.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so, you know, when you hold the bid on something and you...
Red wine or whiskey?
It was just one of those terrifying moments where you put a bid on it and no one outbids you.
Really? Right.
And it was in Broken Hill.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, oh, Christ, I've got to go pick this up now.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect.
Broken Hill, that's
Central New South Wales.
yes.
Old mining town.
Yeah.
Beautiful place.
And bloody hot.
Yeah, but I love the place.
Yeah.
And yeah, this woman had bought it as a midlife crisis.
Uh-huh.
She'd bought it in from Japan and
Oh,
she was
right.
getting a bit on and she sold it on to me.
Yeah. So what year is this one?
It's probably a 94 model, I think.
Right.
Yeah, it hasn't got the airbag, so it's one of the
Okay.
earlier ones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Is that... is there any, you know, in the Beat crowd, is, you know, where's the desirable ones?
They're all the same.
Yeah.
Like, there's a few mods people do. Like, they made a little sedan and a little truck. And
Yeah.
this has the truck gearbox because it's much shorter in the low gears.
Uh-huh.
But people put the sedan gearbox in and then
Yeah.
it gives you better top speed.
Uh-huh.
There's not much else.
Well, there's a little modification there, I see. What's going
Well,
on?
someone had already cut a hole there, so I just put a USB charger.
Well, there.
I thought, it's kind of handy. You kind of need that.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
But-
So tell us a little bit. This is the 660.
No, this
no?
is the Beat. The 660 is the new version of the 600, but it looks the same. Like it's a little Kai car.
So this is not classed as a Kai car?
This is a Kai car, but
I thought...
oh no, Honda make a car now called the 660.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, but the CCs on this is...
Yeah,
to be-
670 cc, I think.
To be classed as
Kai car.
Kai car, yeah? Yeah.
So, like, great in a way because it uses bug roll fuel.
Yeah.
It revs to, like, it redlines at 10,000.
Yeah.
You know, you change gears at 7,
Yeah.
conservatively,
Uh-huh.
and it sounds great. Like, they put a lot of effort into the exhaust system, I think.
Yeah.
It's a hoot.
So I think when I first talked to you about Jason's issue, you'd had some issues with this. And...
Oh yeah, so these had a problem with the fuel injection computers.
Right.
They all used like a substandard quality capacitor,
Yeah.
electrolytic capacitor. That's common in a lot of electric goods.
Yeah.
And one of the capacitors would pop and it would give you an error code and you'd run on a limp home mode.
Okay.
And it would sometimes take out one of the driver ICs for something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in Japan, Yahoo Auctions Japan, you can buy kits to recap them and re-IC them.
Oh, right. Okay.
They're really easy to do.
Do you want to show us that engine?
Yeah,
See
well,
if we can...
the engine is in the boot. You're not going to see much.
yeah, I'd have guessed as much. Look at that, yeah.
Oops.
Wow.
So the engine's just under there.
So what... Yeah. How do you work on this?
Well, it's super easy. All you do is you take the hood off and
Yeah.
that panel here lifts out
Yeah.
and then you have straight access to the motor. So you
Right.
can lift the motor straight out here with the gearbox.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, it's super easy to work on.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it's so light. Like 2 strong guys, you can lift it either end and lift it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I bought this, I changed every radiator hose on it, thermostat, rebuilt the ECU, new distributor bearings, because that's what kills them. They have a ball bearing in the top of the distributor,
Yeah.
and when it seizes, it breaks the timing belt and all your valves hit the pistons.
Right. Right.
So a new timing belt, always do the water pump when you do the timing belt,
Yeah.
because the bearings are always shagged in that.
Yeah.
And what I do in all my cars is I put a low water level sensor in the radiator. So you never cook them. Like if you do a hose, it just beeps at you incessantly
Yeah.
until you pull over.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that
wow.
saved me a few times. Not with this, but other cars.
Yeah. Oh, that's something. And
Well, I think every classic car owner should do that.
yeah, yeah.
Because it's literally a $50 part.
Right.
And it just squeals at you when the water gets low.
That's interesting. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Especially in this climate.
Well, that's it. You can very quickly cook an engine in this climate.
Yeah.
And there's no need to.
Interesting. Yeah. And so, what sort of use does this one get nowadays?
Well, with Melbourne weather as it is, not much. But
we have just had despite
this is the one
the
good day
beautiful
you've picked.
skies we had the last couple of days. It was pissing down for about a week or so, wasn't it, beforehand?
Yeah, and then about 3 months before that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We did have quite a. Was this the wet winter?
It was.
Oh, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Anyway, I'm not complaining. I'm British, and it's freezing cold.
Yeah, it's a heat wave in Britain.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, great in summer.
Yeah.
And same with the Land Rover. Like I often just lift the roof off.
Of course. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Stick it under a tarp.
Yeah.
Great. You take the door tops off.
Yeah.
I used to take the doors off entirely, but sometimes the seats would flop out if you went around corners.
Yeah, right.
And then you have to embarrassingly go back and pick your seats up.
Right.
And
Right.
passengers freaked out a little.
Yeah. I can.
But
Oh,
a
that'd be,
heap of fun.
What's that process there of taking those? How long would that take to take off the
The roof.
roof and whatever?
Probably 20 minutes.
Oh, right. Okay.
You've only got 2 bolts up under here
Yeah.
on each side. Well, 1 bolt each side.
Yeah.
And then you've got up on
yeah.
each corner.
Up there, over there. Yeah. Yeah.
And then on each corner here, you have a bolt inside.
Right. Okay.
And you can sort of see that.
Yeah. Oh, crikey. Yeah. 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 Oh, here we go. That's the easy way to do, isn't it?
That's a much easier way to do it.
Yeah. And which gives us.
Oh, that-
Blimey. Not many. There you go. Bolts, and bolts, and sound system. Holy moly! Look at that.
well, I used to install car stereo. My first job,
Yeah.
I was in an autobahn doing car audio for people. And warranty returns would come back. And the company would write it off and they'd go on the skip.
Right.
So I'd just put them aside, and one day the boss was like, look, take all this crap, it's taking up space.
Yeah.
So then I had a big pile of stuff. I'm like, what do I do with it? So
Yeah.
I fixed it all and built this, it's just out of some old scrap plywood and
Yeah.
some rubber floor matting.
So this is some good
Is this for shits and giggles?
90s gear, isn't
No,
it?
this would be 2000s.
2000s, is it?
Yeah,
Right,
probably
okay.
mid 2000s.
Right. Okay.
But all like good quality, just
Yeah.
stupid little problems I fixed in like 20 minutes.
Well, yeah, that's elements of electronics is quite a speciality for.
Well, it comes naturally. I
Yeah.
find it fun.
Yes.
It's a mystery.
Oh, I bet this is yeah. This will shock a few people. And
I mostly listen to audiobooks on it.
right.
Cruising along listening to
Yeah.
Terry Pratchett or Dostoevsky or something.
Where's your head unit?
No, I just Bluetooth it to
Oh,
the
Bluetooth,
phone.
isn't it? Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
it's modern.
old-fashioned.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
a modern Land Rover. Bluetooth.
Okay.
And it's got a GPS on the dash.
Uh-huh.
Just because the speedos,
Yes. Yeah, I saw that.
when you're running an overdrive and 750 tyres, and you don't know what the speed is going to be.
Okay.
Yeah, it's arbitrary at best, the speedo.
All right. Well, let's go and see something that's
Something
not
a bit older
bit older and not
Bit-
quite so modern. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
and a little bit ridiculous, this one.
Well, it's that's a beauty though. Come on, let's go and see.
All right, let's have a look. People
Uh-huh.
are kind of curious about them because they're so rare and they think they're a bit precious.
Right. Oh,
Now, let me move some panels off it.
look at this beauty.
Which is a little bit
Oh, it's a bit dustier.
dusty 'cause I've been woodworking in here.
Yeah.
I've been making Christmas presents for people.
Oh, wonderful. What a wonderful space. Wonderful, wonderful space. Oh, wonderful. But, tell us, what do we got?
Well, this is an Austin 7, of course, without its motor.
Yes.
It's not an EV conversion. And this sort of came to me pretty rough. So it was a barn find,
Yeah.
and it had been raced in the 90s and had a good run. But the trouble was that, like all race cars, it had been cobbled together, between races, and it was really rough. Like it looked all right from a distance, and that was about all. So I've stripped it down and repainted the chassis, and believe it or not, it was painted with red lead paint originally.
Right, yeah.
Which is an amazing paint, like it never rusts.
Yeah.
So I've just cleaned that off, and I found a compatible enamel that actually stuck to it really well.
Uh-huh. So the chassis was all good?
Chassis was great.
Right.
But then it's all the little details, you know, all the mounting brackets,
Yeah.
like the steering box geometry and mounting bracket, that was just held on there with a few bolts and washers.
Uh-huh.
You know, everything was rough. Like the firewall was, I don't even have it here, but it was made up out of like 6 pieces pop riveted together.
Right, right. Are you shaping the metal? Are you doing metal here?
Yeah, yeah.
You're cutting the metal?
I cut the metal. I got a friend with a pan rake who does all the bending for me.
Right, okay.
But like for instance, I made this bonnet scoop for it because it had no scoop.
Wow.
And I just beat that over a form, which I have over next to my little pet budgies.
Show us, show us.
Yeah.
Where's it? Hang on, you beat that.
I moved these little pet budgies.
Yeah, hello, budgies.
But no, I have,
Let's have a look.
just some metal forms.
Oh, well, hang on. Hello, fellas. We've gone all shy on us now, have we?
Camera shy.
Okay.
And yeah, you can just, and
I've
I've got a few other dollies for it, and you can just beat things gently. And if you're patient, you can get a very good finish.
Well, bloody right you can, because that looks
Yeah,
fantastic.
Look, I've only used, again, a smidgen of skim coat filler to stop all, you know, the little ripples and contours.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it looks pretty good from the light.
Pretty good to me, yeah.
And
What about these, the air vents and...
oh yeah, I made them up. Not these ones, but I made these guys up.
Right.
Because that was this whole side was missing out of the bonnet.
Yeah, yeah.
So I made up a press for it,
Yeah.
and just 3D printed a little press and made the vents. And of course, no one ever sees both sides of the car at once, so
Right.
it doesn't matter that they're a different shape.
It's a special.
Well, and that's actually what came off it. Like there were some sections cut, little
Yeah.
butchered bits. So I've tried to sort of match it
Yeah.
to what it was, because it's an evolution. Like it's not original. This is
Sure.
a race car. It's been cobbled together out of, you know, bits and pieces the person's found.
Into the press, flat sheet metal is fed. The die descends, fulfills its task, and a curving panel results.
Back in the 1920s, the automotive world was buzzing with innovation. But one small car would go on to capture the hearts of enthusiasts and ignite a movement, the Austin 7. It was introduced in 1922 and was designed to be an affordable and practical car. Its compact size and reliable performance made it an instant hit. As the years passed, a community of enthusiasts grew. Seeking excitement and individuality, they began modifying their Austin 7s.
Let's see it at speed and hear it on track and road.
These modifications, born out of a necessity and passion, led to the emergence of Austin 7 Specials.
All the crack drivers, all the latest and fastest cars compete in the many events that are run off each racing season at Brooklands, the world's first motor racing track. Have you ever seen a road race on the Isle of Man with cars shooting like rockets from side streets onto a tortuous route? Round the houses they call it, but it often threatens to become through the houses as each driver tries to cut the corner and catch the man ahead.
The Specials were nimble, lightweight and built for speed. Owners took them to the racetrack, pushing the boundaries of what the Austin 7
How many
could
times has the
achieve.
Austin 7 thrilled the huge crowds at Shelston? A difficult question to answer. But whenever cars are streaking up that famous hill, snaking around its treacherous bends and opening up with a deafening roar on the finishing straight, the 7 will be in evidence, putting up a fine performance. The only track in England for road racing is Donington Park, where many of the most important events in the racing calendar are now held. The complete circuit is over 2.5 miles in length and winds through picturesque woods. For exciting racing, this track is now famous. The Austin 7 has done its share, more than its share, in thrilling the crowds at Donington.
Notable figures like Bruce McLaren and Colin Chapman began their automotive journeys with Austin 7 Specials. McLaren's father Len bought a box of parts for $125, hoping to show the 13-year-old Bruce how to build a car. 2 years later, with the car complete, Bruce won his first race. The special was a testament to McLaren's hands-on approach and engineering prowess. This project not only demonstrated McLaren's technical skills, but also laid the foundation for his future endeavours in the world of motorsports. Likewise with Colin Chapman, a visionary engineer and founder of Lotus Cars, who left an indelible mark on the automotive world with his innovative designs and commitment to lightweight, agile racing cars. The first, the Lotus Mark I, showcased Chapman's groundbreaking approach to car design. Produced in 1948, the Mark I was a small, lightweight sports car that emphasised simplicity and efficiency. Its success on the track laid the foundation for Lotus's reputation for building nimble and agile sports cars.
You know, these are motorcycles.
Fantastic going up the hill, one of these.
Like they're motorcycle headlights and old Lucas side lights.
Yeah.
The engine's out. Actually, it's at the shop getting rebored at the moment.
Right.
Because it had been seized. Someone had run it really hot and it had locked up in the bore and done a bit of damage to the bore.
Right.
So just chucking some 20 thou oversized pistons and rings, and the Austin 7 Club has it all on shelf.
Right.
If you don't know about something, just ask them, and everyone there will.
Yeah.
Like, they're a great community.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I highly recommend. Yeah, if people want a classic car with a lot of, like, with swagger and a good community of people, Austin 7s are really good.
Yeah.
Like, probably more fun than Land Rover people.
Yeah.
Because these handle.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, crikey.
Skinny little tyres. They skid around, but it's a little 4-speed transmission with synchros in second to third to fourth.
Yeah.
No synchro in first, second, but you don't really need it in a race car. I've made all the timber floors.
Yeah,
for
you've
it.
done that. Yeah, yeah. And
Timber dashboard. Got some
see,
Lucas
as
gauges
I say,
for
he's
it.
a bit handy with his. He's a bit handy. So electronics, timber, metal forming.
Reupholstered it all.
Yeah.
That's, minimalist because it is a race car.
Uh-huh.
What else did I do? Oh, you made the little back parcel tray for it for the wheel. She's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. How many hours have you had into this, do you reckon?
Oh, I don't know. I just come down for an evening and work on it.
Uh-huh.
Like making up new wiring looms for it.
Making up.
Because it had no wiring in it when I got it. Just a pile of wires in the front seat.
Right.
So, it's all... Now, look, I put modern things on 'cause it's nice to have waterproof quick connectors.
Yes. Yeah.
When I took the engine out, it took, 5 minutes to take the loom off.
Yeah.
And look, I like putting easy to get serviceable parts on.
Right.
Like if he does a fuel pump, it's a $50 fuel pump.
It's not a concours
No.
restoration. It's to be used and to be used for fun and exhilaration.
Exactly, and everything is good. Like I've put new brakes on it, so all the cylinders are stainless steel lined.
Right.
Because if you don't drive it a lot, it makes sense, I think, to lash out and get them stainless lined.
Yeah.
They just don't pit as easily. Whereas aluminium cylinders or cast iron ones, you leave them for a year and a half, and they do suffer.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And wheel bearings in these are they're just standard sealed ball bearings. Like everything is easy to do.
Yeah. And that's the other thing as well, isn't it? The simplicity of working on these for people who possibly aren't as well.
Go on Austin 7 if you have no experience. Because like the motors, they're like a Briggs & Stratton lawnmower motor, but 4 of them smushed together. They're a flathead.
Yeah.
The valves are in the block. Everything is incredibly easy to work on. Some weird things in them, like the rear hubs are lapped onto the axles, like the rear. Yeah, like the hubs, like you lap them into the axle with some grinding compound.
Yeah.
And when you get a good fit, you clean it all and tighten it up, and it pulls onto the taper that you've just lapped in.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gorgeously simple. And same with the flywheel on the back of the motor.
And that brass window surround there, would that have been original? Or not
No,
original?
nothing's original.
No, not original.
But someone's made it up and gone to a lot of effort.
It's gone a lot.
There's a lot of history because you can see that's been worked on. Like
Yeah.
the race car was probably made from a previous Austin,
Yeah. Yeah.
because the chassis is ancient. Like this thing you'd use as an everyday car if you had good weather.
Yeah. Yeah. Not for my legs. I don't think I'll be getting in this one, unfortunately.
Well, the trouble is because it was a race car, it's got the roll bar,
Yeah.
but it is removable with flanges,
Oh right. Yeah.
and then the
Take
seat
some
goes right
back.
back.
Yeah.
So this is actually building this for the guy's wife.
Oh right. Yeah.
So she won't need the leg room, but
No.
he's a bit of a taller man, so he can take the roll bar off
Uh-huh.
and push the seat right back.
So these are all modern-ish gauges, are they? Or
Yeah, like these are, they're not matching. It's very eclectic.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this is what it came with, and I kind of like it.
yeah,
But, you know, they're off an MG and
yeah,
something else,
right,
probably an Austin Healey or something.
yeah.
And then the rest.
Recognising that one, that speedometer over there, the Smith's one, but I'm just trying to think where. So there we go.
Oh, the Smith's tacho.
Yeah.
I wonder, maybe
Oh,
that's
sorry,
a
yeah,
mid.
that's the.
That's the tacho.
Is it, right, yeah, sorry.
I don't know if that's off an MG, like off a midget maybe or something.
Right, yeah. Webcam, that's what I'm talking about.
But
Yeah.
it's, I think it all works. Like it is,
Absolutely, absolutely.
and it's got, like with this, I modified the.
Yeah.
the
That's
light.
it. I knew there was some sort of modification.
Oh, everything's
Yeah.
everything here is custom built.
Yeah.
But here, like, you got your side lights, low beam and high beam,
Right.
and that way, you don't need an extra switch or anything for your
Yeah.
high low beam. I want to keep the dash really simple,
Sure.
and it's got, you know, I think that's off a bloody aftermarket mini indicator store. And
Right.
it's just all easy to get stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that down the track,
Yeah.
nothing's difficult.
Okay. Well, mate, it's been a little while coming. I promised it was it was in the middle of winter when I.
Oh, when you came and had a look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not much has happened because this, you know, you get distracted with other things,
Yeah.
and I was waiting for some special, you know, tools to get the flywheel off the crank and stuff.
Right. Right.
But that's all happening now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Do you
yeah,
reckon it'll be done by? Is it
I'm hoping.
something for before the end of summer?
Oh, I should have it done, you know, just after Christmas.
Oh right. Okay. All right. Well.
Hoping to we get the block back before,
Yeah.
you know, they go on their Christmas break.
Oh wow. Okay.
Hopefully.
Oh, let me know. I'd love to see this shuffling out of the garage. Well, again, thank you very much for your time. It's been an absolute joy.
No, it's a pleasure.
And yeah, we look forward to seeing this one come back, and yeah, maybe get out for a spin in the other two.
Yeah, and this one as well.
Lovely. Yeah. Cool.
As usual, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment and share.